Hello and welcome to another standard gameplay video on the official MTG Arena channel. Today we're taking a look at Mardu Angels, a black, white and red mid-range deck with a bit of tribal synergy thanks to Giada, Font of Hope, 2 mana 2/2 legendary angel with flying and vigilance, saying other angels enter the battlefield with an additional +1/+1 counter on them for each angel we already control, so that can get out of hand very quickly. And then Giada also taps for white mana that we can spend to cast angel spells, so Giada can also ramp into our more expensive angels, such as at 5 mana Lisa, Forgotten Archangel, a 4/5 with flying and lifelink, and then whenever another non-token creature we control dies, we get to return that card to its owner's hand at the beginning of the next end step, and then if an opposing creature dies, it gets exiled instead. And then at 6 mana there's Sanctuary Warden, a 5/5 flyer. When it enters the battlefield or when it attacks, we can remove a counter from any creature or planeswalker we control to draw a card and make a 1/1 citizen token, and conveniently the Warden enters with 2 shield counters on it to protect it, but also to draw extra cards with its ability. But we could also remove +1/+1 counters that maybe Giada provided to draw extra cards and make citizen tokens, so those two have a great synergy. And then we also have Archangel of Wrath, which kind of ties the whole deck together, can play it at 4 mana as a 3/4 flying lifelink, but we can also kick it for both black and or red mana, so we can cast it at 5 mana or 6 mana, and then when it enters the battlefield it deals 2 damage to any target for every time we kicked it, and then we can also gain 2 life of course, because the Archangel has a lifelink. Can be a great way to stabilize against the more aggressive decks, but even against control we can deal damage directly to the opponent or maybe finish off a planeswalker. And then at 3 mana we also get to play with Steel Seraph from the Brothers War, can play it for its prototype cost, in which case it's a 3/3 flyer, and then at the beginning of combat we get our choice of flying, vigilance or lifelink on one of our creatures until end of turn, so it can be a great way to race aggressive decks by giving a lifelink, but even vigilance can come in handy to play defense or play around a Wandering Emperor trying to exile a tapped creature. And then Steel Seraph can also be played at 6 mana, in which case it's a 5/4 as opposed to a 3/3, and being an artifact it also dodges Go for the Throat, which is pretty popular in Standard at the moment. And then Inspiring Overseer is also excellent as a 2/1 flying angel that will draw a card and gain a life when it enters, so we can maybe copy that with a Reflection of Kiki-Jiki. Fable of the Mirror Breaker is still excellent in any mid-range decks, and no exception here. The Shaman token can maybe help us ramp by making treasure tokens. We get some card selection on Chapter 2, and eventually Reflection of Kiki-Jiki gets to copy our creatures to maybe provide a ton of value with cards like Overseer. Excellent as well alongside Sanctuary Warden, as we'll get to make 2 citizens and draw 2 cards in the process, as well as hit the opponent for 5, so there's a ton of great synergy. Even copying a Steel Seraph means we get an extra keyword for the turn. And then we also have some cheap interaction at 2 mana with a Braid, dealing 3 damage to a creature or destroying an artifact. So these are the 2 red cards we're splashing in an otherwise mainly white deck. We also of course have a little bit of black for Lisa and Archangel of Wrath, but we can also play Secluded Courtyard in the mana base, so we don't have to play as many pain lands like Caves of Koilos to deal with the black splash, since both Archangel and Lisa are angels, so Courtyard naming Angel can help fix our mana a little bit. And then we also have 2 copies of Destroy Evil to deal with opposing enchantments or destroy a creature with toughness 4 or greater, so that's one way to deal with creatures like Shieldred that may dodge a Braid otherwise. And then we also have 2 copies of Depopulate as a nice catch-up mechanism against go-wide creature decks like Blue-White Humans for instance, destroying all creatures, and then the controller of a multicolored creature also gets to draw a card perhaps, but mainly just interested in resetting the board to then take over with our powerful late game. And then we also have 2 copies of Sarah Paragon to provide a bit more value, as once each turn we can replay a permanent spell with mana value 3 or less from our graveyard, so it can get back any of our 3-drops, including Steel Seraph, which we can play for its prototype cost. Fable also a great way to set up Sarah Paragon by discarding cards with a second chapter, and then Giada also tends to get removed early on, so we can maybe get it back with our Sarah Paragon, and then we'll already have some angels in place, so we can immediately start picking up extra +1/+1 counters, and then we can even replay our fetch lands with Sarah Paragon, such as the Cabaretti Courtyard, which will gain 1 life from its own ability, and then 2 more from Paragon exiling our land as opposed to it going back to our graveyard to prevent looping the same permanent over and over again. So we've got quite a few basics to fetch up with Courtyard in case we do end up getting it back with Paragon. 3 plains, 2 mountains, so that's another benefit of just splashing a little bit of black as opposed to needing more actual swamps to cast early removal spells, so that's why opting for the Abrade can be helpful. And then the rest of our mana has a few dual lands like Caves, Shattered Sanctum, just one Haunted Ridge, 2 Battlefield Forge, full set of Sundown Pass, and then the Courtyard as we mentioned, and then there's room for 1 channel land, Aiganjo, which can maybe also get a discount from controlling Elisa or Giada as legendary angels. So yeah, that's our deck. Now let's jump into some games and see how the deck does. Okay, we're on the play, and our hand is a little slow to get going as we don't have an untapped land on turn 2. So is it good enough to keep? Well, we do have a Depopulate to catch us back up, so this may still be doable. And then Courtyard probably wants to fetch an extra white source. And then we could always draw an untapped land next turn and curve out Giada into Overseer. Alright, that works. Name Angel. And we seem to be up against a mono-blue deck, which is also playing Delver. Not all versions do, but it will be pretty good against us as a flying threat. So next turn Giada can attack, and then we can still play Overseer, tapping Giada for mana, so we can potentially play around something like a Syncopate for 1. Alternatively, we can play a Fable and hang on to Overseer for later, and that's also fine. I think I still go for Overseer, since our opponent may be playing Spell Pierce, and then I can try and play Fable once we can pay for Spell Pierce. Opponent considers, so looks like Overseer is gonna resolve. Another consider. Okay, so could see a Hot Egen next turn. And Steel Seraph was a great draw. So if our opponent does tap out, we can resolve another Angel, which will provide a ton of value. Delver still doesn't seem to be transforming. Opponent with a Fading Hope, so maybe Scry instead of the Delver flip. Keeps card on top. And Impulse is what they reveal. Well, we can try and replay Giada, since we can pay for a Make Disappear now, even if it's not the most mana efficient play necessarily. Aberration attacks. And I think I take it. Keeping more Angels in play makes our Giada better, as well as Steel Seraph. So yeah, we've got a couple options here. Could just try and replay Giada, see if they picked up an answer. Opponent gets to Impulse either way. Or we can force them to maybe use a counter spell, and given that we have triple Fable, getting one of those countered is not the end of the world. So, step 1 attack. And see if this resolves. Alright, it does. So our opponent's gonna Impulse. We may see Fading Hope deal with our Shaman token as well. And now maybe is the turn where they're gonna deploy a larger threat like a Tolarian Terror or Hot Egen, and maybe keep up a counter spell at the same time. And then ideally we can double spell our Angels next turn. Looks like another upkeep Fading Hope, so they can scry before drawing. And then next turn I'm definitely discarding 1 Fable to the second chapter. Not sure yet about Depopulate, could be a good way to catch back up. Alright, opponent's gonna hang on to all their mana. Destroy Evil's pretty good in the matchup. So yeah, not sure about the Depopulate, since we're probably interested in playing some creatures to the board. So maybe 1 Fable and 1 Depopulate can go. And then eventually Overseer plus Reflection of Kiki-Jiki is also a great combo. Yeah, I guess we'll attack and then go for Giada. If that resolves, can also play another Overseer. Wait on Steel Seraph. Opponent could also have a Shore Up to untap Aberration, but I don't think they would be interested in trading anyway. So step 1 Giada. And then most likely gets Overseer countered. Alternatively can play another Fable, which we maybe care less about it getting countered. And then keep the Angels to actually grow with Giada. And next turn we can double spell thanks to Giada making 1 mana. Opponent's gonna Impulse anyway. So they're digging for threats and for counterspells, perhaps. Another impulse. So yeah, can't really tell what they're holding necessarily, since they've had opportunities to use counterspells for non-creatures as well as creatures in the meantime. So maybe just a lot of cantrips. Another Delver. Okay. So Courtyard can go, and I'm happy with the rest of my hand. So, do we want to attack? Could send the Shaman to get an extra mana. Don't necessarily want to trade my Angels yet. Opponent takes it. And then step 1 Overseer. Can also wait to play Steel Seraph for 6 mana if we prefer, but now we can definitely play one out, and yeah, opponent just concedes too many large flyers for the mono blue deck to contend with, and next turn we get to copy Overseer for a ton of value onto the next one. Okay, we're on the play, and our hand seems fine. Got Giada into Overseer to start out, got all 3 colors, bit of interaction. Up against red aggro. So we could try and abrade the Swift Spear. I think I'm gonna put them to the test and see if they have an answer to Giada. If they don't, we get to run away with the game pretty quickly. So let's try that instead. Alright, it's gonna be a Lightning Strike. So they probably don't have a cheaper Play with Fire in hand. And then playing Overseer is still pretty good value. Steel Seraph also excellent against the red deck. As our opponent goes digging. Alright, never mind. Play with Fire deals with Overseer. Take 3. And we've got another Overseer. So a couple of options. Can finally deal with a Swift Spear. And then keep up Destroy Evil, although outside of Mechanized Warfare, maybe Thundering Raiju getting a counter. I don't expect too many targets for it. So I may still be better off playing a 3-drop. And then the question is which one. Steel Seraph is better if we can get immediate value if there's already a creature in play. So I'm leaning Inspiring Overseer here. Another Reckless Impulse. Finding another Impulse and Epicure. And our opponent's gonna keep digging. So quite a bit of card advantage, finding Phoenix Chick and Swift Spear with the next one. And Giada's excellent too. Okay, so we'll wait on the removal, and for now just play Giada into Steel Seraph. And get those extra counters. And then we can give lifelink. So our opponent kind of forced to run out their creatures, less likely to be able to answer Steel Seraph. And a 5/5 lifelink flying is going to be pretty hard for them to race. And our opponent concedes. Awesome, on to the next one. Okay, we're on the play, and we're missing red mana, so that's going to make it hard to keep. Let's take a mulligan, and this is better. Still missing black, but we can play Overseer, Archangel with any lands to begin with. And we can fetch an extra white source, so we don't have to take damage off Battlefield Forge. Opponent on a Soldier's deck. Turn 1 Officer. Alright, Courtyard fixes our black mana. So Overseer into maybe a turn 4 Archangel, although if we can wait to kick it, it's obviously better. Thalia, while a good card doesn't affect us too much at the moment. So yeah, would love to pick up another Archangel of Wrath. Some cheaper interaction. Siege Veteran, quite good as well here. And if we trade, our opponent does get a 1/1 token in return. So it's not the best exchange, so maybe wait until we get a Lisa in play to trade off for Overseer. Giada's not bad, so maybe play a Giada now, and then next turn I can play a doubly kicked Archangel of Wrath. And we'll hang back. Alright, Brutal Cathar probably goes for Giada, but then we can still play Elisa or Archangel kill Cathar, and then play Elisa afterwards. It's about to take 8. Ooh, depopulate, that's going to be the better play now. So attack. And depopulate. Our opponent does get a couple tokens in return. So if they have the Lord here, we could still be in trouble. If not, next turn Archangel should stabilize us nicely. Another Brutal Cathar. So take 5, 6 here. Down to 1. Okay, time for Archangel, and then we'll tap very carefully just to make sure. And this should do. Alright, back up to 5. And now we've got a 3/4 lifelink. Next turn Lisa's going to be another huge lifelinker. Have to watch out for the Beachhead, which can pump their team as well at some point. And an Officer is a great way for the opponent to get back into the game, to draw cards. Ooh, another Archangel, nice. So, yeah, just go for another Archangel here, killing Officer. Opponent could have the counter spell, which we wouldn't be able to stop anyway. So, just gonna play its main phase so we can also attack with Giada. Opponent might have 2 1/1s to potentially draw an extra card if they played now. Opponent draws. Officer down. And hit for 5. Okay, so now we're back in the driver's seat. Still Elisa in hand, which is going to enter with a few counters. And we've already seen double Brutal Cathar. Well, there's a third one. It's been a pretty swingy game so far. Our opponent got us all the way down to 1 life. And now a Steel Seraph, another pretty nice draw. So I could play both if I play a smaller Steel Seraph, although small it's still going to be pretty large here. So I'm kind of interested in double spelling. And then we can give Archangel Vigilance. And I don't really see us losing from this position. And our opponent agrees. Awesome. Get to a level up here as well. On to the next one. Okay, we're on the play, and yeah, this hand seems fine. Can fetch our red mana. Turn 3 Steel Seraph, maybe turn 4 Archangel. So our mana's perfect. Now let's see what we're up against. Esper. Okay, so this keeps up both Destroy Evil and the Braid. And Athalia, I guess we won't be able to take out here. So just play Steel Seraph. Seems fine. And then next turn maybe use a removal spell, and then turn after Archangel can take care of Thalia. So opponent on what we assume to be an Esper Legends build. So could still see Rafine grow Thalia. Destroy Evil, potentially an answer to Rafine. This attack implies Eiganjo to kill Steel Seraph, so I'll take it. And Astronaut still keeps up a 1 mana Eiganjo. So I'm not going to attack with Steel Seraph. And instead, I guess play Courtyard, keep up a Braid and Destroy Evil. And then next turn maybe Archangel, or we can wait to play Doubly Kicked. I guess if our opponent does have Orphine, I might have still wanted to play an untap land so we can actually kill it with a ward cost. But that's okay. Do I want an extra mountain? Not really. Opponent moves to combat. Sends in both. And yeah, I guess we'll take out Thalia here with a Braid. Could have also kept the Braid until end of turn to maybe surprise kill one of their legendaries so they no longer have Eiganjo available when they otherwise would. But yeah, that seems likely that our opponent has a replacement Thalia. So now if I main phase kill Thalia, they'll only have the one legendary, so they won't be able to channel Eiganjo anymore, so we can actually attack. And then probably go for Lifelink. Vigilance also reasonable if we want to play around Wandering Emperor. Although if they're on a legend creature build, they may not have a Wandering Emperor in their deck. Also not the best synergy with Thalia. Next turn we can play 6 mana Seraph. So it's going to be hard for them to race. Erta is not bad. Although we still get to draw a card if they kill one of our creatures. Finds Giada. So could double spell our Angels now. And that's certainly reasonable here. Or I can just play 6 mana Seraph and then wait on Giada until we pick up another Angel, hopefully next turn. So Vigilance and Lifelink. Got an answer if Shieldred shows up. Opponent attacking. And yeah, once again, play around Eiganjo. If we wanted to play it slow and go Giada first and then play 6 mana Steel Seraph so it has enough toughness to survive Eiganjo, that also would have been an option. Hoping we can find some other things to play in the meantime. Should probably consider hanging on to Forge in case we find Fable of the Mirror Breaker, so we can discard it. Denik. And Overseer was a perfect draw. So Giada into Overseer. And there's a Fable, so we'll play that next turn. And then for now, could attack with just a smaller Steel Seraph just to bait out a Eiganjo. Or we can just sit back, which is also reasonable. Wouldn't surprise me if they had multiple copies of Eiganjo in hand by now. Sure, I'll send in the 3/3. Alright, Steel Seraph down. Plaza to make their creature gain hexproof and indestructible. So yeah, it does seem like they have another Eiganjo in hand, doesn't it? So what's the best way to play around it? Maybe just Overseer, block Ertai, make them use it, and then Steel Seraph can go to town. Sure. Alright, they let damage happen. And another Ertai makes sense. Kill Steel Seraph, perhaps. Nope, still going for Giada. So that's a lot of respect, and we found a backup. Okay, Sipoin's got 1 card left in hand, and yeah, don't necessarily put them on another Eiganjo now, so probably fine to attack. Play Giada, play Fable, and can give Overseer Lifelink. Alright, they had another Eiganjo. So at least now we still got to game 5 life. And then Overseer also the better creature to keep alongside Fable. So don't hate my spot. Yeah, once you figure out the opponents on the Esper Legends deck and their only interaction comes in the form of the channel lands, it's not too difficult to play around. So can trade Shaman for essentially the opponent's Plaza. Or we can just take 6. Evolved Sleeper, we can eventually destroy evil. So they can level up twice. Although another Steel Seraph is excellent, can play Overseer as well. So go for a 3 mana Seraph and a 3 mana Overseer. And that should be plenty of value. And our opponent explodes. Awesome, on to the next one. Okay, we're on the draw, and our hand's a little on the slow side, no 2 mana play, although double Steel Seraph can maybe gain lifelink to help catch us back up if we're behind, so I'll try it. And then Fable is always powerful if we get to resolve it, grab a Plains, and hope for a turn 2 Giada up against what could be another mono blue deck, never mind, Grixis. Okay, so expecting quite a bit of removal. Maybe a turn 3 Fable from the opponent as well. So they might have a counterspell up instead. So get Fable countered versus get Steel Seraph countered. I think I prefer getting Fable countered in case they're setting up the Corpse Appraiser, so they wouldn't be able to necessarily draw a card right away with it. Stern Lesson instead. Alright, so this might be kind of a blue-red ramp strategy instead, as we see Battalion discarded. So Might Stone and Weak Stone, yep, on turn 4 kills our Shaman. Okay, Giada wasn't bad. So in this matchup, not sure what the opponent's removal looks like. Can probably expect Voltage Surge. So maybe Fable can go and 1 land, since we'll probably draw another. Okay, and then this turn just play a Steel Seraph. Next turn I can Giada plus Steel Seraph. So yeah, opponent was off to a good start with Stern Lesson into Might Stone. Now access to 6, 7, 8 mana for artifacts. And a Bankbuster can draw right away. Okay, now we can also go for Archangel, kill Shaman token, which I don't mind. Never mind, opponent's gonna make it disappear. So let's go for Vigilance so we can hold off the Shaman. Opponent discarding Leveler cannot be good news, means they have another one in hand most likely. And a Battalion makes 2 4/4s, it's under a ton of pressure. It's gonna be hard to lifelink our way out of this. Well, Overseer plus Reflection is nice. So I can Giada, Overseer and copy. And I could wait to copy in the opponent's turn so we can actually block with a copied creature. And then Steel Seraph can give itself lifelink since I'm not planning to block with it. So our opponent can unearth Cityscape Leveler at the very least. And we'll see if we can survive. It's gonna be tough. So there's Leveler. I'll let him attack. Opponent killing Steel Seraph. So in response, still gonna copy Overseer. So we can block with a token and have an extra counter from Giada. So these all trample. This is gonna go away, so I guess we'll trade here for a battalion token. And this would have us taking 16, so I still have to block an extra creature with probably Overseer. As we fall to 1. So Steel Seraph for 3. Play another one for 3. Alright, so we get to hit for 8 here, back up to 9. So we'll see if our opponent's got another Curve Topper. Portal to Phyrexia would certainly hurt. Probably missequenced last turn. I should have copied Steel Seraph and then played another one from hand. So the one from hand would have picked up an extra counter as opposed to the one that attacked. Means not gaining as much life, but being left with a slightly larger creature, which is probably still more relevant. Alright, Brotherhood's Ends to destroy artifacts. Yeah, that hit Steel Seraph pretty hard. And Battalion. This is the 5-mana version. Copy the token and smash, and I think that leaves us dead. Oh, that's too bad. On to the next one. Okay, we're on the play, and yeah, our hand seems fine. Got an early Giada or Braid into Fable, which also pairs quite nicely with a Sanctuary Warden. So let's see what we're up against. Turn 1 Plains, so points towards creature aggro. And yeah, getting an early Fable going is always nice. If we can actually make treasures, we'll get our Sanctuary Warden in play in no time. Looks like enchantments instead, Naturalist. Yeah, that is a scary card. Could definitely see the argument for abrading it. Although if I play Fable, next turn Archangel can take care of the Naturalist quite nicely. So let's try that instead. And then Giada tapping for mana, in combination with treasures, could set up a very early Sanctuary Warden as well. But they might have some removal here. Never mind, just a Hallowed Haunting. So our opponent's setting up to go big, but we're going to get to have our fun in the meantime. Fable, discard another Fable at this point. Okay, so let's see, we can attack, opponent unlikely to trade for a Naturalist, and then second main, play doubly kicked Archangel. That sounds good. Could also just drop a Sanctuary Warden already, although that may get exiled, so I'd rather deal with a Naturalist. So let's attack. Don't have to use our treasure here necessarily, but I think I'm okay dealing the extra damage upstairs. So our points at 12, we've got 8 in play. And then next turn we'll get our Reflection as well to pair with Sanctuary Warden, hopefully. Backup Naturalist, we can abrade. And Companion. So we might see another enchantment here. We don't. Okay, so step 1 attack. And then I'm kind of hoping they block my Goblin token with one of the 2/2s, but they don't, so damage happens. Opponent's at 4. And then I think we deal with Naturalists and keep up a Braid to maybe kill a Spirit before they get out of hand. And next turn I may still be able to play Warden and copy it with Reflection. So in hindsight, maybe regretting dealing the 2 extra damage and using the treasure as opposed to keeping it for Sanctuary Warden. But looks like we got there anyways. Alright, so we get to see our Mardu Angels in action, and it seems pretty well positioned in the current meta, with lots of removal and lifelink creatures to deal with the various aggro decks in the format, but still has enough grindy elements that it can also deal with other mid-range decks. So if you're maybe bored of the more traditional black mid-range decks of the format, you can give Mardu Angels a try. So that's going to do it for today's gameplay. Want to thank you for watching, hope you enjoyed, and as always, have a nice day.